All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Habits You Love. Today, as a very special guest, we are going to talk about social media and redefining your relationship with it to make it work for you. And I immediately thought of my friend Caleb Duplain here. He is the owner of Duplain Media, short form expert, videographer. And how long have you been doing that?
Video
Yeah.
since I was like 12 or 13 years old,
All right, so
almost a decade.
we got a lot of experience here. And we met through a gym called Scorch. That's where I first met you. You work out there and I work there. I could immediately tell that you were different when it came to the way that you run your own social media. And I think
Mm.
just even since knowing you for the past couple of months, I can tell you have finally found your niche. Maybe not finally, but you've definitely found your message, your voice, your niche. And I think this podcast, this show is all about finding those people that are in a spot where they've had a journey up until where they are today. And so I'd love to get people's journeys, people's stories to how they got to where they are today. So we're going to talk about social media. Obviously, social media is not going anywhere. So I think it's definitely time. I myself am guilty, but using it in a healthy way. So, a little bit more about you. What do you want people to know about you?
Well, I guess the way I've been introducing myself lately is that I'm a frustrated filmmaker turned social media personality, essentially telling people to get off of social media or
Mhm.
use it for their own benefit. Um, that's been the journey for the past year. And it was when I was reluctant to chase at first. I had been wanting to do it for 2 years and just thought, are people really going to care? Like,
Mhm.
the amount of effort I'm going to put into this for how little impact there will be is stupid. So I put it off,
Yeah.
and finally I came around and started treating it like a full-time job almost, and here we are.
Why did you already put that stigma with it? Why did you already say, "No, that's not gonna work?"
Because I know how it goes when you're just talking to an audience of people you know, like
Mhm.
family, friends. That's what most people's audiences are before they connect with the outside, so to speak, people
Mhm.
who don't know who they are.
Mhm.
Um, and what usually happens is you put out a video, it does really well the first time because people are like, "Oh my god, he's doing short form, it looks so good." And
Mhm.
then after that, I mean, naturally, people stop caring, and who can
Yeah.
blame them?
Well,
You have to prove you're dedicated to it. You have
yeah.
to prove you're going to keep showing up, and people will follow eventually.
I think you've definitely proved your numbers and your engagement recently has been off the charts. I mean, millions and millions of views in these recent reels. And I know we've talked a lot about this, but like, is there a one common thing between all of these? Is there that one silver bullet, that one magic thing that people can start doing?
Put the person in front of the screen first. That's
Mm.
literally all it is. Like I've run my scripts through ChatGPT. I've asked it to create formulas for why they work. I've asked it to break it down. I've like looked into it myself. The one link between every single one of these videos is that before sales, before engagement, before anything, I'm just asking someone to make a change in their life that I want to see for them.
Mm,
That's the
mhm.
link.
And you're getting them to feel. I know you told me it's about creating a feeling
Yes.
in someone. Awesome. Okay, so I know you literally go on social media to tell people to get off of social media. That's
Yeah.
your message. You say, "Why are you here? Stop scrolling. How much time are you going to spend on here?" What would you define as a healthy relationship with social media, if there is one?
I think it's one that starts with intention. So that's immediately going to look different for everyone.
Mhm.
People like you, people like me who are running a business and trying to lead other people to their desired destination, that often means creating.
Mm.
I think I had a misconception for a while that everyone wanted to do that. And I've
Mm.
realized just through one-on-one conversations, not everyone actually wants to do well on social media and blow up and have this like public appearance and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But I would say that population of people is the one who struggles the most because they're just consuming what is frankly a ton of crap on the internet all the time
Mm.
because all most creators care about is your attention and your money,
Mm. Mhm.
and one comes after the other.
Yeah.
So I think that's where having a healthy relationship with it starts, is setting the intention for what you're using it for and just putting in the effort to make that happen.
All right. So if you say, I'm going to get on here and look for inspiration for something, I know I get on social to look for inspiration, whether like just recently I'm doing a photo shoot. So I was like, well, I'm going to go research some inspo for the shoot that I want to do. But you're talking to people who are just on there scrolling with no intention, and you like kind of come in and just like interject your message like, why are you here? So obviously we saw your recent engagement and in your recent months, and it's just so funny to me, ironically, that you're getting so many people look at your posts that you're telling them to stop looking at your post. So
Yeah.
what's your message for them?
For the people looking at the posts,
Yeah.
I think it changes as time goes on. I think initially I was really focused on my age demographic. To like back up and have a bird's eye view of the whole story, I at the time was trying to essentially just market my own video agency. I wanted more people to know what I was offering,
Mm,
and it just wasn't working. Like, it was
yeah.
very frustrating. I was
Yeah.
like, people say to put so much time into this, and I am, and what's coming of it? Nothing. Like,
I
doesn't make
get
any
that.
sense. And I, like I said, for 2 years, I had this lingering mission to help people my age because I know I'm a bit of an anomaly. Like, literally since 13 or 14 years old, I've had a very clear direction on what I want to do,
Mm,
how I want to do it, and that's not the case for most people. And
mm,
I hate to see people struggle with that so much because I know how simple it is to at least start the journey.
mm,
Like, I
mm,
could break it down for people so simply, especially my
mhm,
age group. So once I stopped ignoring that, it was okay, what is the biggest problem for you right now? It's that you want to take action in your life. Undeniably, you want to be somewhere else, but you're stuck on this device for hours. Doesn't matter who you are.
mm,
Everyone struggles with that at some point.
mhm,
So that was the initial takeaway. But I'm realizing now it's like with a larger audience, it's going to look different for everyone. Like I said, if you want to be a creator, you own a business, whatever it might be, you have to shift that energy into something that's going to benefit you. So shift it into creating. Like,
mm,
stop focusing so much on sharing what everyone else is doing and
mm.
be the person who everyone else wants to share.
Right.
And if you're not trying to be a creator, I think it's just about taking back your time
Mm.
because I think people subconsciously are spending all their time on here. They don't necessarily mean to. 2 hours pass and they're like, whoa.
So, the other way say, I went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. And just to like seriously unpack how much of a problem that is, I've shared this stat many times on my Instagram and I will not stop sharing it because of how alarming it is.
Mhm,
The average person spends 2.5 hours on social media every single day. That's globally around the world. And half the population uses it. So 4.5 billion people.
mm,
If you do the math and you add that up since 2019, and I use that because that's when like Reels became a feature,
mhm,
I'm fairly certain. Maybe it
mhm,
was 2018. That's when I graduated high school. Over the past 4 years, the average person has spent 5 months of their life on social media. That's not including sleeping or anything. That's like all the time they've spent on the app added up.
mm,
And if the way you're spending that time is losing 2 hours of your life and going like, whoa, where'd it go?
mm.
How much of your life is gonna pass that's gonna be you won't even know what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
Like, it already moves fast enough.
yeah. I know I do that. When I come out, I'm like, I feel like I was in a dream or something.
I know.
I get sucked in so hard. But I know that you obviously help people with social media. And I know you discovered your one thing. But for me, and maybe most people out there, I think people hesitate to start because they think they have to have all this stuff. I have to have good equipment. I have to
Mm.
have good scripts. I have to have the best background. What do people just really need in order to start sharing an important message that they want to share? Or maybe that's it. Maybe just the message.
That is it.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to care.
Mm,
Um, this is another thing I talk about all the time is, like, if you're struggling to find what your message on social
mm,
media is, assuming you're someone who wants to share it, just look at where you were 5 years ago. Think about the things that frustrated you, think about your own struggles. Someone is there right now,
mm,
and this is a little harsh, but what I hear when people say, "Oh, my equipment isn't good enough," uh, XYZ problem, you're saying that person's problem isn't great enough to solve with what I have right now.
mm. Yeah.
And all they need to hear is you saying it. They don't need it to be fancy.
Yeah, definitely. How can people start showing up more intentionally the way you have and not taking 2 years to finally be like, "Okay, I'm gonna be brave enough and put it out." How can they start to show whether they're frustrated with their slow growth, like I think maybe most people are, they have a business, they're a small business, they're like not seeing the results from all the content they're putting out, or they haven't tried yet and they have kind of like you that lingering thing in the back of their mind. How can they start showing up more intentionally and not waste people's time?
Yeah. I've actually found what I feel is the solution for this very recently. And that's simply to ask people what they want.
Mm,
This is a lesson I think I've learned in relationships and business and social media, like whatever it is. If you're not sure, just ask. Like,
mhm,
you specialize in something. Like, there's a reason people follow you, and there's a reason people like you if it's just your friends and family.
mm,
Ask them what it is they like, ask them what they want to learn. Then there's no questioning whether it will be valuable to
mm,
them or
mhm.
whether there will be any kind of growth from it. Because naturally, you can't mistake giving people what they want and what they need to know more about if you can provide that.
What if So say you say that as like a broad blanket question, like, what do you want to hear more about? And then they say stuff that you aren't passionate about, that you don't really want to talk about. How would we navigate that? You're like, oh, I don't really want to talk about that. So should it be more of the user's, decision of like, well, I'm going to talk about this no matter what people say. I'm going to draw the right people in.
I think if that's the case, it's hard. Part of me thinks if you're going to be selfish or selfless about this and really show up for people, um, you're going to find a way to help them with what they want help with.
Mm,
The
mm-hmm.
other part of it is I understand like we all have our niche and what we feel like we're best suited to help people with. In that case, make like an A/B questionnaire. Like,
Yeah, that's what I
give
did.
them choices.
Yeah.
Don't let it be so broad at that point
Yeah.
if you don't want all these random things. Let them decide between things that you know you can help them with, but you're not sure what is the absolute correct step to take.
Yeah, I know I did that. I said A, B, C, or D, all the above.
Yeah.
And everyone chose D. I'm like, okay, gosh, we could talk about all these things now. Um, we've already talked about the time wasted. Let's talk about kind of just how dangerous social media is these days, for the younger generation, especially. I mean, you grew up with social media, I think, right? How old are you?
I'm 21, so
Yeah.
I kind of ride the line between it wasn't much of a thought for me in childhood until late middle school, like high school.
That's so
So I'm
young. Yeah.
mixed. It is young, but it's not
It's
where the
where we
kids
are
are at
today,
now,
I know, yeah.
where they're using it before they're even in school.
Yeah, I
So,
was on the cusp of social media. I didn't get Instagram till I was 21.
mm,
That's old these days. So I feel like I'm on the cusp where I didn't grow up with it, but in my 20s where, we're still developing and you're still finding out who you are, it was a prominent thing. So for someone that is growing up with social media and the dangers of self-esteem, confidence, I mean, we're already wasting so much time. What does the younger generation need to know about what they're seeing on the internet? Is it
it's
true?
hard.
Is it
Yeah.
not true? Is
No,
it
it's hard too because I'm not like a psychologist. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to give precise answers to what like a kid should see on the internet, what a
Yeah.
parent should allow their kid to see on the internet, but I think that's something I've been wanting to make that generation more aware of is just that guys, this isn't real. Like this
Mhm.
is a specifically catered algorithm of videos that someone specifically made to capture your attention. It's all specifically there to engage you.
Mm.
And sometimes that requires methods that abuse your attention span because we as humans aren't perfect and we
Mm.
have things that we're naturally drawn to,
Mhm.
and people will abuse that. So you
Mm.
have to just like if you're going to use it, like just be very aware of that. What you give your time to and the algorithm, it will continue to shoot back at you. And it's hard because in some ways there's like a personal responsibility there. And I think that's what's such a big problem for kids is
Yeah.
how much blame are we going to put on them for what they're consuming when they're at that
Yeah.
age?
Yeah.
that's where some of the responsibility, I think, lies on the platforms, and I don't think they're taking it.
Yeah, definitely. I know you talk about being more inspirational as opposed to influential. What's your take on the word influencer? That's such a is that in the dictionary yet? I don't know. It
It
probably
might
should
be.
be influencer. I
Yeah.
feel like there's such a thin, fine line for that word. I don't necessarily like that word. I like the more of the word inspirational. So maybe we could talk about just your definition of an influencer and how that might be ruining our interactions with people on social media and in real life too.
How do I put this? I'll start it out with this anecdote. I put out like a all call essentially on my story several weeks back, asking people to send me voice messages about their relationship with social media.
Mm,
And I remember one girl had sent me one talking about how she had been surrounded by influencers with a large following, and they didn't live life for themselves. Like, everything they did, every action they took, every choice they made, every experience they had to be shown, to
mm,
profit off of, to
mhm,
like, it was all transactional. That's where I feel the current atmosphere of influence is on
mm,
social media right
mhm,
now, unfortunately. Um, that's not to say everyone is like that. There's a ton of creators that I follow, and I'm sure a lot of people have in their following that are there to serve you. But
mhm,
I think we're not seeing a lot of that not in my generation.
mm, mhm,
Like, the people who are trying to be influencers in my generation are there for the attention.
mm,
And that
mhm.
comes with all the other problems we've already talked about. So,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I see it where you have these young girls and they just get to like show how much of a hot mess their lives are. Yet they get all of this attention. They get brand deals, they're getting paid to post, they're going on fancy trips, and they're just like you said, they're showcasing their lives. So I think just I don't know about for men. I think I'm more so speaking to women, but that just is so dangerous to show a woman that here, just act like a hot mess, get drunk, go out and party, talk about your drama, and then that's where you can get all the things you actually want is on the other side of that. When like for me, I would love to have all those things. I would love to have brand deals and fancy trips and all those things, but not at the expense of my reputation. Like it's the internet. This is going to be out there forever. You can't take it down, you know? So the way you act now, you're definitely going to be perceived as later. So I think that's just my message to young girls is you don't have to act like that in order to obtain the things that you want. So that's one thing that does bother me with the word influencer. I like the being inspirational more than influencing. I actually did the same thing. I made a story about I don't even know what spawned me to do that, but I was just like, if you didn't have to post this or have to in your mind, you have to, right? Have to post this, like, what would you not be doing? Like all these moms, all these moms, throwing these fancy parties for their kids or they're like room moms and they have these fancy parties at the school and they post pictures of it, but it's like, is that for the kid or is that for you? So I just hate the way social media has gone. And it's like, you're right. It's like, what would you not do if you didn't think you had to post about it?
it's
Eh,
a really good question to ask.
yeah.
And that's
And no one responded to me. I was like, all right, tell me what you wouldn't do. I think one person said they wouldn't take any more
people don't want to call
selfies.
themselves out.
I guess not. Yeah. I mean, I'll call myself out. I'll be like, okay, well, and I've actually scaled back a lot. I've scaled back at posting my entire life of like, well, what I'm eating, what I'm doing, what I wear, what I bought, stuff like that. I'm just like, no one has ever messaged me back and been like, "Oh, thank you so much for posting
I know.
this." It's only the inspirational things. Like yesterday I posted um like something about cardio and what I do for cardio. And
I saw.
I did a poll and like 100% of people, like 100 people were like, "Yes, I want to see that." But it wasn't like anything material or anything. It was just like how I stay healthy and what I do. So
How was that received?
good. Yeah, that's like the most response I've gotten on a poll in a really
Nice.
long time. So it's like, okay, now I know what people want. Like you said, now I know what I should be sharing more of and what is actually a healthy like information that I give out there to the world.
Yeah. Especially as someone who is like trying to lead an audience, I think
Mm,
that's a good question to ask before you
mhm,
post anything is why should anyone care about this? It's a
mm.
brutal question to
Yeah.
ask, but
Why should
you will
anyone
not catch
care?
me posting much filler anymore. People aren't looking at what cheesecake I had at night or like
Mm, yeah.
whatever I have going on throughout the day that isn't relevant to them because otherwise I am then making an intentional effort to fill their life with
Mm.
can I curse?
Yeah,
Fill
curse.
their life with shit they don't care about.
Yeah.
And that's a greater
Mhm.
problem that we could get into if we'd like is like if you're not using social media with intention, if you're just following a ton of random people for their image or the way they want you to perceive life, you're filling. I'll make this analogy. You wouldn't just bring in anything or anyone into your home. Like your home is your safe space. Try to keep it clean.
Yeah.
You try to have like you only bring over people who matter something to
Yeah.
you, mean
Yeah.
something to
Uh-huh.
you. Why would you bring low level garbage into your feed? Because that is like a direct link to your brain and what you're seeing all day.
Mm.
And then that just becomes your life. That just becomes normal
Mhm.
to see a ton of crap.
Mhm. Yeah, I was gonna say something. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, that can't make you feel good, honestly. It can't make you feel good. Leaving that 2.5 hour rabbit hole session
Yeah.
of all it is comparison. All it is seeing people doing stuff that you're not doing. And I feel like it just takes people backwards. Not all the time. Obviously, I don't know how many users are on Instagram or whatever, but not everyone's like that. But I feel like that's where the scrolling and the mindless scrolling happens is when it's just entertainment, entertainment, and then in like a little bit of ooh, like that girl's wearing a really cute outfit, and I'll never be able to do that. And I don't know,
Mm.
just the confidence level, the self esteem, is just really affecting young people. I see it all the time.
Especially young girls, like you were
Yeah,
talking about.
exactly.
I already mentioned this to you, but I had a student in one of my one-on-one
Mm,
coaching sessions for short form, and she came in like not really sure what her best messaging was for short
mm,
form, how she should approach it, how she can be valuable to other people. And I just started talking to her about what actually matters to her, like what's important. She just like randomly dropped this bomb in the
mhm,
conversation, like, oh, and I also had this thought that like every time you use a filter, a little girl hates herself. And I'm like,
mm.
why are you not like
Oh my
sharing more stuff
gosh.
about that?
Yeah.
Because
Or wasn't it like every time you post a filter, a little girl dies?
not dies,
Inside. It
but
dies
no,
inside.
I think her
Or
specific words in the document that I wrote out at least were every time you use a filter, a little girl hates
oh,
herself.
hates herself. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And something she's very aware of. I know she has daughters, and it's just
Mm,
something that really matters to her. So
mm.
I think that's one
Feel
of the beautiful parts about social media is you're able
mm,
to take these things you want to change and create a
yeah.
voice and advocacy that can spread like wildfire, like it would have never been able to spread before. So
Yeah. I think the big word for this is just intention.
yeah, it always
Intention
is. It always goes
about
back to that.
yeah, intention about how much time, intention about what you're looking at. We gotta be, like, filter free. Well, we gotta filter actually out the people that we shouldn't be following too, maybe do a little sweep and go through all the people. That's but the algorithm, again, it'll show you what you wanna see.
Yeah.
And you can't really filter out the, like, explore page, or if you're on TikTok, like, TikTok shows you anyone, not just the people you follow, whereas Instagram, it'll show you the people you follow.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's I mean, it comes down to intention and what you're consuming at that point.
yeah.
Like you're getting what you're giving and vice versa.
Why do you wanna help people do this? You've clearly figured it out for yourself.
Help people. I have a few different missions, so I want to clarify what you mean by help people.
Help people be more intentional on social
Okay.
media. Yeah.
I think it comes down to seeing my own friend group suffer so much from the lack of direction in their life. Um, a lot of my friends are college age, and I know a lot of them probably spend hours every single day on their phone. And I know they have goals. I know they have like dreams they want to achieve and things they want to get after. But like it's a mix of various bad habits, but most of all just scrolling aimlessly for God knows how long.
Mm.
Like it's at that point in time when you're doing that, of course it's impossible to start. Like you're giving yourself the easiest, most brutal excuse not to.
Mm.
Just
Mhm.
not being involved in your own life, basically, is what it is.
Yeah.
That's why I
Wow.
want to help people,
I like
because
that.
that's where I feel like everyone I know who's my age is at.
Mm. Yeah, I love
And it
that.
worries me what that will result in decades from now, essentially. That's my greatest concern.
Mm. You kind of just helped everyone kind of figure out what they should be talking about. I mean, that's not directly impacting you, but it is maybe in your thoughts. You're seeing it. Like you said, you are the same age. You are taking a different direction in your life, and you're seeing other people that you know go a whole different direction. So that's kind of affecting your life in a way.
Yeah.
And I think that could really help people hone in on their own message. Any powerful inspirational message is going to have to do something with you, what you've been through, what you see that you want to make a change in. So, what is the first thing that you take people down on that journey when you are helping them as clients and someone comes to you and they say, I don't know where to start? I came to you with that. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I have been having struggles with my own.
Can I ask you then? Can I just
Yeah. Oh
turn the
yeah.
question on you?
Interview me.
What what did I ask you
Mhm.
that you felt like you left the conversation with any slice of clarity? What were the questions I was asking you that
It
made you
was the It was the 3 things that we did. It was 3 things we had and I had to do 3 answers. It
Mhm.
was, now I can't remember. I knew it was like, uh, like
Mhm.
problem and solution, and then the lessons you learned
Exactly.
from it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay, I remember.
No, but it's
But
just
that really gave me a lot of clarity. And I like that you made me pick different things.
yeah.
Because if I only would have picked one, that's where I get stuck, is when I have a lot of stuff goes in my mind where I want to talk about a lot of different things.
Mm.
I've gone through a lot. I'm really proficient in health and nutrition. I'm really proficient in emotional health and self-care. So I didn't like to be pigeonholed into one. And I felt like that we can talk about this in a second, of how to pivot. Like, I didn't know how to pivot from being health and fitness, nutrition, Kayla Fassio, into mental, emotional, spiritual health. Not, I don't want to say guru, but more of that. And I didn't know how to pivot. So I think you really helped me hone in on that message. And I think it's also important for people to know that if you aren't really into the message that you're trying to do, or what I'm trying to say is, like, don't just put anything out there. I started to just put like anything out there. I was like, I
Mm.
have to post every day. I had
Mm.
this like panic anxiety feeling of like, well, my people expect me to show up every day, but like, if you're not bringing them valuable information, just don't do it. And so that was a really big mental barrier that I had to overcome. Of, if I am not passionate about what I'm about to do or say or film, like, I'm just not going to do it. And so I haven't done that. And it's been amazing because I felt like I've gotten more clarity
Mm.
in those moments of just taking that mental break. And then working with you has been really good so far, because I like, okay, this message, this, and this. I got it. Like, and it was like the puzzle pieces were all together, and it was
Yeah.
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
And it's great because once you get comfortable enough with producing and articulating your thoughts, you stop having those days where you feel like you just need to make things to make it.
Yeah.
Instead, you can like you'll get there. But you can like just sit down for 5 minutes and close your eyes and be like, "Oh my god, I'm going to make this."
Yeah,
Like it
that's
just needs
it.
to be made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um that's like the operating system you
Mhm.
can get on when you actually get consistent at it
Mm.
and you really tap into like what matters to you. But yeah, it's not an unusual thing. I was talking to another creator. Her name is Nikki. She does like recipe videos, but she has turned them into like like these mindfulness segments. Like while
Mm.
she's cooking, she'll talk about like some very deep topic in life. It's really cute.
Yeah, cute.
But she has taken like several hiatuses from social media,
Mm.
even despite the fact that she has like a following of like
Yeah.
40,000 people. She still has to sometimes take weeks away where
Mm.
she's just like, why am I actually doing this? Like,
Mm.
am I getting to a point right now where I'm just doing it to do it? Or am I in this to help people? Like, how am I going to do that?
Yeah.
And she always comes away from that hiatus with a lot of clarity, like I think you did, and is able to just come back stronger and make better videos.
Do people really care? People that are following you, do they really care about like, oh, she changed. Like now she's doing this.
I think it depends on the severity of the change.
Yeah.
I think this is a
Why
point
do
I
we
love to
put
make,
so
but
much like attention into our followers? I don't know.
well, because it matters.
Yeah.
Because you have a goal for them. You
Yeah.
wanna make a change for them, and you want it to align with your own vision for the future and
Yeah.
what you wanna be known for helping people with, so I don't think definitely don't underestimate that, but it there's this idea I love of, like, don't be afraid to lose followers either. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
be thankful if you lose
Yeah,
followers, because that means you
exactly.
are losing people who didn't align with what you were saying in
Yeah.
the first place.
Yeah,
Like,
so
those
true.
people, it's just not for them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
They'll go find what's for them.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny because this
Yeah.
is like a principle you talk about, I'm sure, in a lot of like your relationship coaching and everything. But
What?
just the idea of like,
Losing someone?
well, not you will attract the things that you need, and if it's not meant for you, like you'll find a way to shed that essentially.
Mm,
Um,
yeah,
and it will
definitely.
be in your best interest to
Yeah.
shed that.
Mm,
Um, and it's the same concept for any level of relationships, even if it is just someone in your following. Like,
mm-hmm.
you are ultimately going to pivot towards the change you want to make, and if you can, try and balance that with their needs, but make sure it aligns with what you want to do and the
Mm-hmm.
change you want to make.
Yeah, it'll all balance out in the
Yeah.
end. Yeah, awesome. Well, this has been good. I always ask my people at the end of the interview. Probably said a couple of things that you would be this answer for you, but what do you know for sure? So if you had a megaphone to the world and everyone was listening to Caleb right now and you could say anything you want, what do you want people to know?
Does it have to do with like social media and
No,
everything, or it could be
anything. Like
anything?
literally one piece of advice. You're about to die. You have the megaphone on a cliff and then you're going to jump off the cliff. What would it be?
I'm scared of heights. No, I'm kidding. I think it was a point I actually already made earlier, which is that if you want something, whether it's in a relationship or in your career, or you just need any kind of clarity on anything, you can't necessarily wait for that to happen. You have to take the initiative to either ask or confront that situation.
Mm.
If it's with a person, don't be shy. Just tell them how you feel. Like,
I know you told me you recently did that.
yeah,
Yeah.
with several people,
Yeah.
friendships, like you name it.
Yeah. What was your takeaway from that?
It feels amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a
Just
relief to be able, like,
yeah.
and to really do it for yourself, like without an
Mm.
expectation. Just be
Mm.
like, this is authentically how I feel right now.
Mm.
If you match that, cool. If not, like, I'm good. I'm just happy I told you.
And you'll know where you stand too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same principle can be applied to everything. Like, if you're trying to get clarity on how you can help people in your business, just ask them, tell them what you want to help them with, and ask them whether or not it aligns with them and how you can better help them.
Mm. Yeah. I love
Just
that.
be forward about it.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of, how can people work with you? And what can you help them with?
I can help you get complete clarity on your short form messaging. And the reality is, you don't need me to do that. Like, it's funny because no, it's absolutely not true. Like, you do not need to pay me any amount of money or anyone like me any amount of money to do that. It just takes the repetition. But I fully understand most of us don't have that confidence to just take a blind step forward and hope it lands. I get it. So if that's the case, I do offer one-on-one consulting for short form messaging. That's a great way. If for whatever reason you own like a massive corporation and you want to just hire me outright, cool, but it's expensive.
Heck yeah, do it.
But
It's so worth it.
yeah, you don't need to hire me to do that. Like, literally just ask yourself who you want to help and be the change you want to see in the world. That's all social media strategy is at its core is saying, I'm trying to build this, guys. This is the world I want to live in. If you want that too, we're going to go there together.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So you can pay me X amount of money to
tell you
to go do that and outline that for you, or you can go do it yourself.
Yeah.
So,
but you are working on something. You're working on what's the framework you're working on right now?
well, it's just that. It's essentially taking the framework that I use for making videos, starting, of course, with messaging and making sure that sticks, and then also breaking down, filming it, editing it, piecing it together in a way that it's actually attractive to people without abusing their attention, like I think a lot of people are doing.
Yeah.
So, and I have to go on this rant too. Like,
yeah, do it.
No, there's no trending audio. There's no dancing. There's no posting at 1:37 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays because that's the best time. Like, no, it's you in front of a camera on a mission to help people because somehow we've lost that.
I love it. Well, I know you're helping me. We're kind of in the middle of my help right now, and but the that just initial meeting we had was like really a lot of clarity came out of that. So I'm excited to see where that goes. I do have a gift for you.
What?
For not only being on the podcast, but just
is it a shirt?
Being amazing. Yes, but it's specially made for you.
Wait, really?
So you really want to see what's this?
Oh my goodness. That's insane that you made that.
Says DM me.
Oh my god.
Did you not put the correlation together? Yes, I came up with it. See, now I need to be the executive producer of something.
You get all rights.
Oh, I saw I was like typing out your name and I was like, or Duplain Media, and I was like, that says DM. And I was like, that's like social media. And then, so that is yours.
That's so funny. I'm going to start using that everywhere now.
I know.
DM me, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Caleb. And I will put all your information in the show notes. And thank you for taking the time to talk about how to be more intentional on social media, how to redefine your relationship, how to have a healthy relationship with social media. It's not going anywhere. So better start learning how to use it now.
Absolutely. And in a way that benefits you.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.